Yes, it's time for another episode of the Joshcast. I deleted the last attempt at this because I said things in it that I was afraid I was going to get murdered. And I don't know if that's remotely true. I don't know if anyone's even listening to this. But just in case, I don't want to get murdered. So I'm going to try. Here's the question. How do I help change the world and avoid criticizing others? How do I do both? Because I don't mean to, I'm not trying to trash talk comedians, for instance, who are critical of politicians. I think that's great. I think that's important. But I just don't know if that's what I want. Like, I want to change the world, but in a way where everyone's laughing, good or evil. If that sounds obnoxiously altruistic, perhaps it does. But I want, because I think that at the end of the day, we're all people are the same. Most people, unless you're a sociopath, know right from wrong. And it's really more a matter of galvanizing people into action. And I feel like the only way that I can do that is by making myself the butt of the jokes. Because then everyone has a common frame of reference. Or if it's not myself the butt of the jokes, maybe an idea, but not other people. And I could be totally, and perhaps I'm totally wrong about this. Perhaps I will evolve to a point beyond this. I don't know. But it seems like I accomplish more and help more when I make fun of the size of my own penis. That seems to be, that's the only place where people seem to have common agreement, I would think. So I'm looking at a building that it's white cinder block, but then it has those glass bricks. You can't entirely see through them, but light can get through them, which it feels very 80s to me. I don't know why. Maybe because I feel like that's like the villain in a 1980s action movie is this guy who lives in Malibu in a house like that with those glass things. Maybe that's what it is. There are just certain things that I see and I go, 80s villain. That, any kind of black leather furniture, penthouses, modernistic art in penthouses and black leather furniture and a giant desk. Quintessential 80s villain. And then what's the quintessential 90s villain? That's a question. 90s villain, that's all over the map. I don't know. It starts to get more sci-fi, I think, in the 90s, because we're transitioning from Rambo and Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, the gritty cop movies, and we're starting to get more into science fiction and starting to get more into the superheroes. So at that point, it's a supervillain's lair. And, well, although Magneto in the very first X-Men movie, his lair was pretty 80s. Sparse. Very minimalist. So that was a holdover. I just, what I don't equate with supervillains' lairs? Several things. Number one, suburbs. Never see a supervillain that's living in a condo. Never see that. And I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. There are some supervillains who, they're like, I don't need a mansion. I'm fine. A condo suits my purposes. It's closer to the city. Much closer to the scene. I'm much more interested in that. I don't need a big, huge lair somewhere that takes forever to get to. A suburban supervillain. That's what I want to see. So maybe like not a really successful supervillain, but a villain that's, super but just barely. Still concerned about the school systems. I like to see that. You don't see that much. But the focus of my focus this month is I want to focus on anxiety. And a big thing, I've been reading a lot about this. I'm a little worried about the nuclear power. I don't think we're good at it. Yeah, I don't think, there was a point at which I said to myself, I'm not going to be a basketball superstar. And, I walked away from basketball. And I have respect for basketball. I have respect for people who can do basketball. I really do. It's of all the sports, it's the one sport that I don't mind watching. I'm a huge, I appreciate what basketball players, coaches, and the support staff can do for the great game that is basketball. But I recognized I'm not a basketball guy, and I walked away from it. And I think we as a human race, we're not nuclear power. That's not our thing. That's not our jam. We need to walk away. You know what we're great at? Solar power. Very good at solar power. You know why? Because we make mistakes sometimes. Sometimes we're not always paying attention. Sometimes Homer Simpson is literally the guy working the nuclear reactor. But when it's solar, we can put those stupid people there. You know what? Stupid's harsh. We can put those people who are having a bad day. There we go. That's some compassion. We can put those people there. And if they screw up, no battery. The cell phone doesn't charge tonight. Oops. And it's frustrating, and we scream, and we shout, and we curse. And then the next day, we're still here. And we're not dead. We can kill it at solar power. Nuclear power, not so much. If we were perfect, perhaps nuclear power would be an option. But we are not perfect. By any stretch of the imagination, we are not perfect. I want you to think about that kid in school who got on your nerves and ask yourself, is this the person I want running a nuclear power plant? Because it's entirely possible that this is that person. Let's take the nuclear power idea, let's put it aside, and let's wait until maybe a billion people come along who can actually execute it properly. And then we'll pick it right back up and off we go. But until then, let's not do it. Let's not, for instance, build a nuclear power plant on a fault line! On a fault line! Hello? Oh yeah, there are nuclear power plants that are on fault lines. Did we know it was on a fault line when we built it? I bet we did, which is proof positive that we are not qualified to handle nuclear power. No siree, Bobcats. Hey, there's a fault line here. Yeah, we're going to build it there anyway. Okay, everyone in that equation is wrong. Everyone in that equation is wrong. Oops! Oopsie daisy! Whoever said, hey, we shouldn't build it on a fault line, they were right. That person deserves a kiss, at the very least. Perhaps a romantic evening with a Brazilian supermodel. They were correct. But the people who built it on a fault line, not so much. Anata so much. Big O. Mistake-o. So that's a concern of mine. It really is. Flying, that's another one. I'm terrified of flying. But it's safer than driving. That statistic doesn't help me. You know why? Because nothing is safe. Nothing is safe. And it's also because, as stupid as this sounds, if I'm in control of the car and it's already on the ground, there's a part of me that thinks, maybe I can survive. Maybe I can come up with something and survive. But up there on a plane, something goes wrong and that's it. You fall to the ground dead. Rarely, there was, I think, one person in recorded history who the plane blew up and somehow they fell 20,000 feet and they survived somehow. And I'll bet you they never got on a plane again. Could be wrong, probably not. So that scares me. That scares me. What else scares me? Well, driving scares me. Me driving scares. I'm terrified I'm going to hit somebody. Oh, knock on wood. Poo, poo, poo. That's causing tremendous anxiety. Like if I were rich, it's not that I want to drive a fancy car. I'd want to have a driver. Then at the very least, I wouldn't, it wasn't me who hit him. It was the driver. Because all I'm trying to do in life is escape the feeling of guilt. That is it. That, my friends, is it. I feel much better. I really feel like I don't feel better, but I feel like I accomplished something. I don't even feel like I accomplished something. Actually, I do feel like I accomplished something. There we go. Hey, decisiveness. Where did that come from? And my goodness, a prime parking spot on a Sunday at noon in downtown Burbank. This can only mean that the nuclear reactor is about to go critical. That's what that means. Hopefully it isn't. I'm going to knock on wood and poo, poo, poo. Maybe that's how I should sign out. Maybe what I should start doing is folding in my obsessive compulsive disorder with the podcast. And just, for everyone's sake, I do a knock on wood and poo, poo, poo at the end. That's what I'm going to do. Knock on wood, poo, poo, poo. Signing off.